South African families are eagerly awaiting answers on their loved ones that are stuck in Mozambique after jihadist insurgents reportedly overran a hotel in the northern parts of that country. It's understood a South African citizen is among those who have been killed during that assault. For more on this, let's bring in Dewa Mavhinga from the Human Rights Watch. In fact, he's the Southern Africa Director, as well as Jasmine Opperman from the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project. To both our guests, thanks very much for your time. And it's great to have you on the program. Dewa, I wonder if I can start with you, but just asking that you help place this moment for us. What do we know to have actually taken place yesterday?
I had tragic events in Palma, northern Mozambique, where we know that Islamist insurgents linked to the Islamic State, but locally known as Al-Shabaab or Al-Sunnah Jamaah, besieged Palma and have been attacking and shooting indiscriminately on the streets and at buildings, including local hotels, local banks, and a number of people have been injured and killed, and many more have been trying to flee. And we also know that even those that were in the process of fleeing, a convoy also came under attack from the same group, and there has been a cut-off in communications, in mobile network signals, in telephone lines which are down. So it's very difficult to ascertain the numbers of those that have been killed. But we also know that sadly this has been an escalating crisis that has been going on for 3 years now in Cabo Delgado province, and it needs to be prioritized, and we feel that perhaps the Mozambican authorities, SADC, the Southern African Development Community, and the African Union are not doing enough to bring this to an end, and the Islamist insurgency is becoming more daring, more audacious in terms of the attacks, and more sophisticated in terms of the coordination, because it was really quite unexpected, as Palma was believed to be secure, and international workers, foreign workers, were in the area, including those working for Total, at a huge gas project that is there. And so it came as a surprise, but because there hasn't been any effort to address the issues of peace and security in this area, it is really a wake-up call. The siege is still ongoing. We are awaiting in the next few hours a statement from the Mozambican authorities, from the Minister of Defense, and possibly from the President about what's happening. But yeah, it's much more difficult now to get information out of Palma.
Yeah, I mean, Jasmine, Palma is thought of as being an area that wasn't necessarily affected in this way, depending on how you see it. But many people won't be surprised, especially those who've been following this for quite some time now, the turbulence, if you like, in Mozambique. Speak to us about the strategy taken by the government here at home. A statement was released from the International Relations Department saying that personnel will now be deployed there to try and assist. Does that make sense in the context where intervention from South Africa has actually led, in some instances, to more controversy around the conflict in Mozambique?
I think what will, excuse me, good afternoon to your viewers. I think the South African government and Minister Pandor has made repeat calls that South Africa is serious, that South Africa would love to assist Mozambique in fighting the insurgency, but via a SADC, a preference towards SADC and a multilateral engagement. What we have seen from Mozambique is intentional delay, and when we had meetings and Mozambique was asked in terms of what they will require from the region, it was more a shopping list of arms and weapons, and not so much what the South African government expected, a specific roadmap, whatever they meant with roadmap, and agreed on that. So from the Mozambican government side, we need to understand that there's a reluctance, be it from regional, be it international, to allow any intervention beyond training, which makes it extremely difficult. And I think the previous speaker has indicated, and Palma has indicated, the government of Mozambique and the security forces are not even close in a position to deal and counter the insurgents. And I've said this on your channel, your TV channel, that they're not even close for various reasons. And it's going to take much more than a 2-month training program to address. But the South African government, from our side, needs to take care. And I want to repeat what I've said. If we think that boots on the ground will be a quick U-turn, will be an immediate solution, I'm afraid it is not going to be the case. If such an intervention is considered at regional level, and if, big if, Mozambique should allow that, we are looking at least a 2 to 3 year intervention of a military strategy packaged in a phased process supported by development, supported by enabling people of Cabo Delgado to return to the life they want and according to their expectations.
Yeah.
I am afraid that SADC awaiting, not putting enough diplomatic pressure, has given too much oxygen indirectly to the insurgents.
Given that, then, what ought to be the best strategy, for lack of a better term? Diplomacy with terrorists is often thought of as something that doesn't go down really well. You know, there's often this notion that people shouldn't be negotiating with terrorists because that gives them some kind of legitimacy. But, you know, how do we then make sense of this moment in a context where you also warning against boots on the ground? A sheer force approach and a diplomatic negotiation approach don't seem to be working. What does the middle ground look like?
The middle ground is not going to be easy. I want to, again, if we think we're going to sit around the table with the insurgents at this point in time and negotiate, we are truly living in fool's paradise. The insurgents are not even close to a willingness to talk. Government made announcements. Please give up or we will give amnesty. The first person that did that simply disappeared. So there will have to be a complete rethink from the Mozambican government in how they counter, arrest, prosecute, and treat those that are